For decades, they were indeed prepared to confront each other. Fast, maneuverable, high-speed, self-propelled units designed primarily to secure the sky over the battlefield.
They are very fast, allowing for easy position changes and movement across rough terrain.
Developed against the weapons of the last century, some of them still remain significant even today.
We have record holders, 40 shells for 5 drones.
Others, however, have not even survived to this day in their original working condition.
Here essentially is our entire battery. 6 vehicles, all here 6 Tunguskas, none of which are currently operational.
The Soviet Tunguska anti-aircraft self-propelled system versus the German Gepard. Which one is more powerful and who would win if they clashed in battle? What has this equipment already achieved on the front, and how did the Gepard save Ukraine from a blackout in winter? This is covered in Arsenal. As is often the case with military technology from the USSR and Western countries, one would not exist without the other. This can be said about them as well. The development of the Gepard began in the mid-60s as a response to the Soviet Shilka. Knowing the competitors' characteristics and wanting to surpass them, the technical specifications for the Gepard stated that it should shoot down aircraft, hit tanks, destroy surface targets, and be effective against enemy fortifications. The Tunguska, on the other hand, was intended to push the German beast back to the background in the upcoming arms race. At the same time, the Bundeswehr was developing the main German tank, the Leopard 1. Therefore, it was decided to take its chassis and simply install anti-aircraft weaponry on its base.
This is an anti-aircraft self-propelled system based on the Leopard 1 tank with a caliber of 35 mm. It is designed to cover the sky and mechanized units advancing against low-flying and low-speed aerial targets. It has a sky tracking radar and a target acquisition radar. It can also fire at lightly armored ground targets.
The 35mm caliber gun was chosen for a reason. The goal was to surpass the then Soviet 23mm. However, the Germans did not develop the weapon themselves, instead ordering it from the well-known Swiss company, Oerlikon. In the Tunguska, the Soviets later used a 30mm gun, surpassing the Germans in rate of fire by almost 5 times, 2,500 rounds per minute compared to 550. These achievements remained in comparative tables. The fact is, in such a mode, the Tunguska is hardly capable of firing 2 ammunition loads before the gun simply bursts. It turned out that the weapon could often jam, even during exercises, let alone on the battlefield. And here are the German anti-aircraft guns. Although they can't fire like crazy, they have proven to be much more effective. Instead of a frenzied burst, they usually aim and fire a few rounds at a time, which allows them to save ammunition without losing effectiveness.
We use 6 shells for 1 missile. That's the least. We have record holders, 40 shells for 5 drones, but you can also fire 200 at one.
Moreover, speaking of drones which didn't even exist at the time of the Gepard's development, the German anti-aircraft tank has adapted excellently to the conditions of modern warfare. The latest munitions, guidance systems and radars which were integrated during upgrades by Baba Monster are now proving themselves on the battlefield under the command of the Ukrainian Defense Forces.
The use of these special munitions which are practically programmable, allows, besides identifying the target, to determine its azimuth range and, anticipate or predict its flight path, and naturally program the detonation of these munitions in close proximity to the target to create this cloud of fragments. This is unlike Soviet systems, which generally operate much more simply.
Much simpler and less effective. Typically, this happens either manually or semi-automatically, which significantly reduces the effectiveness of the strike. Unlike the Gepard, which today is equipped with several radars that allow it to detect a target, lock onto it, track it, and strike at the most opportune moment.
One of them is the tracking radar. It scans up to 16 kilometers, and the second radar is located at the front. This is the target acquisition and tracking radar.
The advantages are that everything here is automated. For example, if on the ZU-23 everything is manually operated, here it captures, tracks, and leads the target automatically.
Which cannot be said about the later Tunguska. Russians who today indeed truly have to reap the fruits of their beloved USSR have certainly been able to feel firsthand what Soviet engineering thought is like.
It's difficult to execute the launch so that it hits the target. Bringing it down those fractions of a second is the most complex and labor-intensive process.
In reality, the most challenging process for Russians today is, in principle, finding a system that is suitable for use. Hundreds of Tunguskas, which for years formed the illusory might of the Russian army, now have to intimidate the enemy, not just on paper, and it turned out that this task is much more difficult than it seemed.
Well, basically, everyone got them, and all these 5 Tunguskas, except for the one that's light-colored, which is stupid, which can't be started, because it might just catch fire, That's it. All these vehicles were overhauled last year. From February to November of last year, these vehicles, all of them, underwent major repairs. As a result, we ended up with, 5 vehicles with malfunctions of varying degrees of complexity and problematic nature. In the end, not a single vehicle is combat ready for us right now.
But let's return to the functional models. One of the main criteria for both vehicles was maneuverability. And here, the homeland of Mercedes did not disappoint. A more powerful engine of 830 horsepower compared to 710 accelerates the Gepard to 65 kilometers per hour and provides a range of 550 kilometers. Unlike the Soviet engine, which only accelerated the Tunguska to 40, today the driving performance of the Gepard has been appreciated by the Ukrainian Armed Forces soldiers.
It is very fast. You can easily change position and move across rough terrain. It was created for this purpose, so that we as a mobile group could quickly change positions.
Technically, the Gepard surpasses the Tunguska not only in driving performance. The modernizations that NATO equipment regularly undergoes have also affected Germany. Modern radars allow for automatic detection and tracking of targets, automatic aiming, and firing. These are the main advantages of Western technology, for which it is so valued worldwide.
Target acquired, 416, probability, line is 430, approaching, 4200, probability, line is 4, get ready, 390.
Radar, dots and squares appear, indicating the direction it's coming from and the distance. The radar sees up to 16 kilometers, operates in a range of about 12 kilometers, and can also switch to 8. We see the target, we lock on. We see it on the computer, on the first, on the third if locked, the distance to it. And then we track and wait for the system to give permission. Then we fire and take it down.
To summarize the Gepard and Tunguska, the equipment is quite similar. Both self-propelled anti-aircraft guns detect targets at a distance of 18 kilometers and an altitude of 4 kilometers. Both systems are essentially Army air defense designed to shoot down helicopters, low-flying aircraft, and subsonic small-sized targets. However, the concept is better implemented by the German designers, which is why, despite the apparent similarity, the equipment shows completely different results.
Firstly, it has better armor than the Tunguska and Shilka. Secondly, the caliber is still larger. The Tunguska has 30 millimeters, while the Gepard has 35 millimeters. Moreover, the armor-piercing shells of the Gepard penetrate armor from 90 to 115 millimeters. By the way, the side armor of the T-72 tank is 90 millimeters, and this is guaranteed penetration at a distance of 1 kilometer.
Incidentally, in a recent aid package from Germany, Ukraine received another batch of Gepard anti-aircraft systems. So even more, Ukrainians, as well as those they will be used against, will be able to assess the performance of these German machines. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel, so you don't miss new episodes of Arsenal.